Hey, welcome to the Backyard Professor videos. I've been asked to share what the impetus is. What is my impetus for researching the Book of Mormon so much? For enjoying studying the Book of Mormon like I do? Why do I read everything I can get my hands on about the Book of Mormon? Why do I read the Book of Mormon so much? I've been asked to share what my favorite scripture is in the Book of Mormon, and I don't know if I have a particular favorite one, but I can certainly tell you what the most influential one was. And it's based upon a context of an experience I had while I was on my mission. So I'm going to briefly summarize this experience, and then I'll share this scripture with you. Now, the interesting thing about this scripture is technically it has no spiritual value as such. It's not... it's not a flash of light, It's not angels coming down and thundering from heaven with their loud voices and things like that. It's actually more on a practical level. It's almost spoken parenthetically. But it has had a profound effect upon my lifetime of studying the Book of Mormon. So I want to share that with you. I was on my mission. I'd been out for, maybe a month and a half or whatever. We tracked out this minister. He brought us in, took us in his basement, showed us this great big world map of all of the world's languages that have ever existed. I mean, there was Egyptian hieroglyphic and hieratic and Demotic, and there was Greek and Latin and Hebrew and Aramaic, and there was Spanish and Portuguese, and there was the Russian languages and the Serbo-Croatian and the Australian languages and the American languages and Japanese and Chinese, all of the languages that had ever been known in the world. And he asked me point blank, he said, "Do you see Reformed Egyptian on this map?" And I got looking, I said, no, why? I didn't see this coming. He blindsided me. He said, "My young friend, Joseph Smith said the Book of Mormon was written in Reformed Egyptian. Did he not?" And I got it. Yeah. He said, Reformed Egyptian is not a language. Joseph Smith lied to you. Your Book of Mormon's fake. He said, if I were you, I would find out real quick for yourself that the Book of Mormon is fake before you waste 2 years of your life on a mission. It's commendable you're trying to serve the Lord. It's too bad you're doing it with a fraudulent book of Scripture. And that wiped me out. We left, and my companion could see it wiped me out. And he'd been out for, like 16, 17 months, He didn't make a big deal about it. He said, Elder Church, just stay calm and all that. And I looked him in the eye and I said, I have to find out the answer to this issue. Don't you see, he just wiped out the Book of Mormon for me. And I am not going to waste 2 years of my life if this book is not true. I have to know the answer. I'm going to go home to the apartment. I'm going to sit and I'm going to start at the very front of the Book of Mormon. And I'm going to read the Book of Mormon until I find an answer. You can do whatever you want. Mission rules be damned. So far as I'm concerned, I'm not even on a mission right now. I have to know. If there's an answer, the Book of Mormon will have it. And he could see I was pretty serious. I told him, I said, you can go do anything you want. Go play racquetball, go throw the javelin, do whatever you want. But he came back to the apartment with me. I began reading, and I read in the Book of Mormon. We had our nighttime prayers and all that, and he said goodnight to me. And I read in the Book of Mormon for the entire night. All through the night. I read the Book of Mormon completely until I got to the answer. It was about 5:30, 5:45 or so. A little bit before we were supposed to wake up. We're supposed to wake up at 6:30. And I run across Mormon 9, 32 through 34. And I went running in there and showed my companion, and he was pretty impressed. He said, wow, Elder Schertz. He said, that is impressive. And I said, I want to go back and tell that Baptist minister. I want to go back to his house today. And I hadn't slept a wink, I looked like it too. I probably smelled like it. But So I went back and told the minister, I said, here's your answer. And I read it to him, and I will read it to you, Mormon 9:32 through 34. And he said, well, I mean, there's other issues with the Book of Mormon and problems. And I said, I really don't care. You proved to me the Book of Mormon was phony with your map. The Book of Mormon explains why your argument against it is false. The Book of Mormon held up. And I thanked him for strengthening my testimony. He was a little bit, he wasn't too happy with that, but I didn't care. Here's the scripture. And now behold, we have written this record according to our knowledge in the characters which are called among us. That is, the record keepers, among the Nephites themselves. It's not out in the world. It's their language. Among us, the reformed Egyptian, being handed down and altered by us according to our manner of speech. And if our plates had been sufficiently large, we should have written in Hebrew, but the Hebrew has been altered by us also. And if we could have written in Hebrew, behold, ye would have no imperfections in our record. But the Lord knoweth the things which we have written, and also that none other people knoweth our language. And because that none other people knoweth our language, therefore he hath prepared a means for the interpretation thereof. That changed my whole life. I vowed then and there, I told the Lord, I said, if there really are answers like that to the questions about the Book of Mormon, I will teach the Book of Mormon for the rest of my life. I will never quit reading it. I read it once a month, every month on my mission. 25 times, technically, counting that night. And I've read it multitudinous times since then also. And I've read absolutely everything I can afford and get my hands on, pro and con, about the Book of Mormon. And that's why I love the Book of Mormon. That's why I find it a great intellectual puzzle. It is a great spiritual book. But it also has a lot of powerful information and answers. Now, I don't have all the answers. Nobody does. And if I do have a problem, I put it on my problem shelf in my mind, over here. Sometimes it takes me quite a while to get the answer. Sometimes I'll get an answer about a Book of Mormon question in a completely unrelated book, completely different subject. Sometimes it's a science book. Sometimes it's a book on evolution, believe it or not. Sometimes it's a book on language or history or whatever. But I do believe the Lord has guided me to find books that have answers to questions I've had. Sometimes it takes 10 years. I still have questions I don't have answered. So what? Who cares? I don't need to have every single answer discovered right here in this life in order to have faith that Jesus is the Christ and I can accept His atonement. But the Book of Mormon holds up astonishingly well. So that's my experience with the Book of Mormon. And that's why Mormon 9:32 through 34 changed my entire life. Thanks for watching.